Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you, and today we are looking at a knife from Sencut. I've only reviewed a couple of Sencuts. I think the Bronx or the Bront. Yeah, the Bront was a Warncliffe that I reviewed a little while ago, a liner lock. This knife is a little bit different, and there's a couple of reasons that I got it. One, I had the Civivi Cubit, and I really liked it. I just wished it was bigger, and to me, this really rings as sort of a larger version of the Cubit. And for that reason, I really wanted this. And guess what? So I picked it up, and there's only one thing that I would complain even a little bit about on this knife. And we'll get to that in a second. But overall, it is very much like the Cubit. It's very fidgety. It's very fun. It's comfortable in hand. It's one of those knives that you just can't help yourself but be messing with all the time. It is so good. And so because of that, I have to say this is going to be pretty positive. A number of people have pointed to this knife as one of the better options from Sencut, and I have to say it is really good. And if you're going to buy one Sencut, this is probably the one. And if you're just looking for a really good, affordable folder that's not going to break the bank, again, boom, this is a great option. It's going to have a great action for you. It's going to be a good cutter. The steel is going to hold an edge pretty well. It feels great in hand. It looks great, and there are a number of colors that this comes in that really pop. And I have to say that's a huge advantage of anodized aluminum. It just, these bright, brilliant colors that look absolutely great. Okay, so let's do a quick rundown here and work our way through. Actually, let's do size and weight first, and then we'll come back and run through the features of the knife. So size and weight on this guy, it is 8 3/16 overall. So just a little bit over, not a huge amount over 8 inches. 3.5 inches on the blade length. 3 3/4 of grip area. So for me, with size large hands, it gives me lots and lots of space. Even if you had bigger hands than me, you'd still be okay with this. I find this handle, it's a little bit thicker. It's nicely contoured, so it feels great. The ergonomics on this are one of the main selling features. If you're someone who works a lot with your knife, this is going to be really good. All right. It is 4 3/4 closed. So again, that's really nice. Under 5 ounces for 3.5 inch blade is pretty darn good. 3.47 ounces, which is absolutely fantastic for a knife of this size. All right. And you get 3 5/8 inches of cutting edge. Now back to our run through of the knife. So up front, we have this great drop point blade with a full flat grind, fairly thin blade stock. So this is, this isn't something I would, take out to the woods with me or something like that. I wouldn't consider this like a heavy duty tactical folder or anything like that. More of an EDC style knife. It is nice and thin behind the edge, but that whole edge is going to be D2 steel, which is good. But in a knife like this, I feel like it could have been a little, I would have actually rather seen the 9CR 18 MOV steel on this instead of D2. Not that I don't like D2, it's a great steel and it holds an edge better. It's one of those steels that knife companies use because cost per performance, it is great, right? This is going to hold an edge better than a lot of similarly priced knives because D2 does really do a good job in that department. But it can also rust. It's not quite to the point of being a stainless steel. All right. So in a world where, we have 14C28N and we have 9CR18 MOV and we have VG10 and we have even 154CM is ever more affordable. There are a lot of good options that I might take over D2. And I'm actually, D2, doesn't, is no slouch, and it's in terms of edge retention is comparable to those and even better than some of those, but you do have that potential for rust, which is a bit of an issue. Action is great on this, guys. Push the button and it just drops shut really nicely. The detent is excellent. So they have absolutely nailed the detent on this. It's so reliable and so enjoyable. The lockup is rock solid, side to side. It's rock solid. And that again, I feel like a broken record bringing this up because I've had a bunch of button locks recently on the channel, but where we are with button locks today is so good. I can remember the button locks I used to get 10 years ago, and it was always like a bit of blade play, and sometimes they were stick, and it wasn't great. These days, button locks are a pretty safe bet. Wouldn't necessarily call them hard use, but generally for a lighter use EDC style knife, they are going to perform really, really well. And certainly this one does. It is a bearing pivot, and you can see that. This is such a fidgety knife. It's hard to put it down when, if you have this in your pocket and you stop to do anything, watch TV or read a book or, whatever else you might be doing. It's really, really takes a lot of self-control to not pull this out and start playing with it. All right. Moving on to the handle, we have this aluminum handle with standoff construction. It is nice and open. It's not milled out to save weight, but it's not heavy anyway, so that doesn't matter. It feels really, really good in hand. It's just a little bit thicker than maybe some of the knives in this similar, if you did like, I don't know, stainless steel here, or if you did, liners with G10, it would probably be a little bit thinner, but because of that little bit of extra girthiness, it feels great in hand, which to me is a big deal. If you're gonna do a lot of work with your knife, if it's your one and only folding knife, then you want something comfortable, and this really does stand out in that department. Take a look at this pocket clip. It's nothing special, but it is deep carry. The screws are flush fitting there. You do have a little bit of a ledge there with the clip because it's not recessed into the handle, but that's really not something to complain about. When you see that, I consider that kind of going above and beyond the call of duty rather than just meeting the expectation. And so this meets expectations in that regard. So great knife. All right, so are there some budget knives that we could pull out here and sort of compare? Sure. Here is a Rat Model 1, also in D2 steel. All right, so that might be a knife, a worthwhile consideration. You can see the blade stock on the Rat 1 is going to be a little bit thicker, okay? And so the Rat 1 is probably going to be a little bit of a harder use folder for you than this guy. Very comparable, though, in many other ways. Of course, it's a liner lock instead of a button lock. We do have another great button lock out that's around these days, and that is the Civivi Sentinel Strike. Absolutely phenomenal knife. Lots of cool features, lots of interesting, very, very interesting visually. Okay. Button lock, kind of this interesting FRN backspacer thing. It's, the construction is a little bit different on this. Really, really nice action here. K110 steel, which is, makes these very, very similar because K110 is sort of it's essentially D2 and it's going to perform very much like D2. Okay, so that I think is a pretty compelling competitive option. And Sencut does have a number of other button locks that are kind of similar to this. The other thing, I've already brought this up, but if you love this, you might like the Civivi Cubit as well. Let's see, what else should I throw in here? So something else that's kind of interesting, going to cost you a little bit more. You might want to think about a button lock Elementum, kind of unique and cool. And if you want to spend a little bit more money, another button lock is the Kaiser XL bag letter. I don't recall if there's a normal size bag letter that has the button lock, but I wouldn't be surprised if there. I feel like there is, and I just don't want to promise it. Okay, so the normal size bag letter might be a little more similar in terms of size. All right. So what do I think about this knife overall? I love it. This is a great knife. It's comfortable in hand. It is as fidgety as it can possibly be. And my dog heard the neighbors come in, and so he's just letting me know. Anyway, overall, really, really good knife. Don't forget to check out the channel sponsors, White Mountain Knives, Blade Ops. Might be a couple others listed down there. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will talk to you soon. Sorry about the dog there at the end.